What if progress meant electrocuting elephants on film, poisoning factory girls with glowing paint, or spiking baby milk with whiskey waste? Uncover 8 outrageous scandals from the 1800s to early 1900s that scream, "How could this happen?" Raw tales of corruption, cruelty, and conspiracy pulled straight from the archives. The Swill Milk Scandal in New York. Picture this. In the bustling streets of 1850s New York, thousands of babies were dying mysteriously each year, around 8,000 from a baffling diarrhea dubbed cholera infantum, or marasmus. It took gutsy journalist Frank Leslie to blow the lid off in 1858 with a bombshell series in his Frank Leslie's Illustrated newspaper. The culprit? Swill milk, watery stuff from cows fed on whiskey distillery waste. These poor animals were crammed into metal sheds at the distilleries, gorging on hot slop that cranked their milk output up to 5 to 25 times normal. But the result was thin, bluish sludge, so shady dealers doctored it with chalk, flour, eggs, even plaster to mimic pure country milk. At just 6 cents a quart, it was a hit among working-class moms who had to wean early to hit the factories. The cows suffered horribly. They'd stop eating, break out in sores, and lose their tails. Historian Melanie Dupuy nailed it. The middle class had lots of kids but had to keep up social duties that meant not nursing all the time. The scandal exposed raw corruption, like politician Michael Toomey, nicknamed Swill Milk Toomey, who pocketed bribes from distillers to block regulations. New York State finally cracked down in 1862, but fake milk lingered until Congress passed the Pure Food and Drug Act in 1906. It even fueled anti-immigrant hate, blaming Irish workers for the mess. What if similar food tampering is still happening today, just rebranded? The electric chair for an elephant, a shocking experiment. Fast forward to the dawn of the 20th century, where electricity's rise met a heartbreaking act of cruelty. On January 4, 1903, at Coney Island's Luna Park in New York, an Asian elephant named Topsy was publicly executed by electrocution before a stunned crowd of about 1,500 onlookers. The park owners, Frederick Thompson and Elmer "Skip" Dundee, chose this brutal method to dispose of the 28-year-old elephant after she'd been involved in 3 incidents, including killing her abusive trainer, William "Whitey" Altus, who'd fed her lit cigarettes. To ensure success, they fed Topsy carrots laced with 460 grams of potassium cyanide, then zapped her with 6,600 volts of alternating current for 10 seconds until she collapsed silently. What makes it even wilder? The whole grim spectacle was filmed by Thomas Edison's team in a 74-second reel called Electrocuting an Elephant, likely the first recorded animal death on film, screened in theaters for shock value. Blame often lands on Edison himself amid his War of the Currents against Nikola Tesla, where he pushed direct current by demoing AC's dangers through public animal killings in the 1890s: dogs, horses, cows. Though Edison wasn't directly involved, his company had merged into General Electric and switched to AC by then. The film served as propaganda. As historian Michael Daly from Rutgers University put it, this was cruelty disguised as science. It's a dark chapter that spurred animal rights laws down the line. Is scientific progress worth such sacrifices, do you think? The caning of Senator Charles Sumner. Tensions were boiling in pre-Civil War America over the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which let territories vote on slavery. Abolitionist Senator Charles Sumner from Massachusetts fired off a scorching speech, slamming South Carolina's Senator Andrew Butler for his fanaticism toward the harlot of slavery. 3 days later, on May 22, 1856, Butler's nephew, Congressman Preston Brooks, stormed the Senate floor and beat Sumner senseless with a metal-tipped cane until it shattered. Sumner suffered brutal injuries that sidelined him for 3 years. Brooks got a fine but wasn't expelled. He resigned in July only to get re-elected. The South cheered, sending him replacement canes etched with "Hit Him Again." The North decried it as savagery, a grim preview of the coming war. This vicious act split the nation wide open, highlighting the raw divide over slavery. Was this violence a twisted code of honor, or straight-up political terrorism? The Radium Girls and their deadly glow. In the Roaring '20s, hundreds of young American women clocked in at factories like U.S. Radium Corporation in New Jersey, Illinois, and Connecticut. hand-painting glowing numbers on watch dials with radium-226 laced paint bosses swore it was safe, even healing, and taught them to lick their brushes for sharp lines, swallowing tiny doses daily, about 4.2 micrograms. Some loved the perk. Their dresses, hair, and teeth shimmered faintly at night, perfect for party tricks with painted nails. But horror struck years later: anemia, jawbones crumbling from necrosis, dubbed radium jaw or phossy jaw, and bone cancers that killed agonizingly. Dubbed ghost girls or living dead in the papers, over 50 died by 1927, with hundreds more suffering out of 4,000 hired companies denied it all, blaming syphilis and faking tests with bribed doctors. In 1927, 5 dying workers from Orange, New Jersey, Quinta McDonald, Edna Hussman, Catherine Schaub, Grace Fryer, and Alba Meggia, sued U.S. Radium for $250,000. Headlines screamed, "5 women doomed to die demand justice." Despite delays, statute of limitations dodges, and spies, they settled in 1928 for $10,000 each plus medical costs and $600 annual pensions. Though many didn't live to collect in Illinois, Catherine Donahue testified from her deathbed in 1938, winning $55,000. Their fight revolutionized labor laws, paving the way for OSHA in 1970. It's a tragic lesson: workers' lives over profits and shiny scientific promises. Grover Cleveland's scandal with an illegitimate child. Right in the heat of the 1884 presidential race, the Buffalo Evening Telegraph dropped a bombshell on July 21st, accusing Democratic candidate Grover Cleveland of fathering an out-of-wedlock son with Maria Halpin. The boy, Oscar Folsom Cleveland, was born in 1874. Bachelor Cleveland admitted possible paternity and paid support but denied coercion. Halpin, a widow, ended up in an asylum. Not for madness, but alcohol treatment. Republicans chanted, "Ma, Ma, where's my pa?" while Democrats fired back, "Going to the White House, ha ha ha." Cleveland told aides, "Tell the truth." The scandal didn't sink him. He won with 48.85% of the vote over James Blaine's 48.28%. Historian Alan Nevins said his honesty boosted his reformer image. The child was adopted. Halpin later denied force. It was one of America's first big political sex scandals. The Trials of Oscar Wilde. In February 1895, the Marquis of Queensberry, father of Lord Alfred Douglas, Bosie, left Wilde a card calling him a posing sodomite, misspelled sodomite. The famed writer and playwright sued for libel on March 1st, but it backfired. Lawyer Edward Carson paraded Wilde's letters to Douglas and tales of his ties with young men. Wilde dropped the suit April 5th, only to get arrested for gross indecency. The first trial, April 3rd to 26th, hung. The second, May 20th to 25th, sentenced him to 2 years hard labor. He served in Pentonville, Wandsworth, and Reading prisons, penning De Profundis. Judge Wills declared, "This is the worst case I have ever tried." The scandal wrecked Wilde's career. He died broke in 1900. Biographer Richard Ellman saw it as a turning point in views on homosexuality. The Plot Against Roosevelt: How a General Foiled a Coup. Amid the Great Depression in 1933, a shadowy plot nearly toppled U.S. democracy, one skipped in most history books. Spooked by Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal reforms, like social programs and Wall Street regs, a cabal of tycoons plotted to oust him for a pro-fascist dictatorship, Mussolini style. They wooed war hero General Smedley Butler, a retired Marine with 2 Medals of Honor from Mexico and China. Butler spilled under oath. Through broker Gerald McGuire, they planned a 500,000-strong veterans army from the American Legion to march on Washington, making FDR a puppet or forcing him out. Funding? Up to $30 million from bigwigs like the DuPont Empire, J.P. Morgan Kin, Remington Arms, Grayson Murphy, Robert Sterling Clark, and even Al Smith Butler blew the whistle, to journalist Paul Comley French of the Philadelphia Record, then in November 1934 to a congressional committee led by John McCormick and Samuel Dickstein probing the business plot. Headlines blared, "Plot Against the White House." Denials flew, and without hard proof beyond testimonies, no charges stuck. The committee confirmed recruitment attempts but called it incomplete. FDR's admin hushed it up, sealing transcripts until 1967. Butler became a folk hero, railing in his 1935 book, War is a Racket. If 500,000 veterans go fascist, I'll raise another 500,000 and knock the hell out of you. We'll have a real war right here at home. It shows even America flirted with dictatorship saved by one man's integrity